Hello everybody, this is Christine with Cards by Christine Studio here in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin for another Tip Tuesday. Today I want to talk to you about cutting paper. And I'm going to kind of do this on the fly and tell you what I know about cutting mats and using paper to the best of its ability with size-wise, sizing. So a piece of paper generally is a piece of cardstock, either the colored cardstock, white, vanilla, black, is usually 8.5 by 11, but paper also comes 12 by 12. And I get people asking me a lot about how do you cut the paper so you get the most pieces or mats out of a piece of paper. And it's different for 8.5 by 11 than it is for 12 by 12. And I'm going to show you a little bit about both. I'm going to cut a couple mats for white. I have some white paper and I'm going to cut that down and explain the measurements of paper and sizes. And then I'm going to actually prep some pieces for some upcoming classes that I have in June. So I've brought some cards in and I'm going to show you like why I designed them, how I did. When I'm designing cards for a class, I have to think about the masses. I have usually between 24 and 60 that I'm planning for a particular card. And if I cut my mats in a way that I only get 4 pieces out of one 12 by 12, that's not going to work good because then I would have to buy lots of paper. And I try to not have to buy lots of paper. So I wanted the well-suited cards that we did a couple weeks ago, those were crazy. I knew when I designed those cards that I was going to waste paper because I wanted the designer paper to take up the whole front of the card, which is 4 1/4. And to cut your paper at 4 1/4 wastes a lot. 4 is your magic number for cutting designer paper. I think 4 is a good number because 12 divides into 4. So I want to go through cutting some white mats and cutting some designer paper, some good sizes to consider when you're designing with designer series paper. So let's flip down. Oh, and a disclaimer. Stampin' Up! Has a cutter. It's great. It's a little rotary tracker thing, or what? It's not rotary, but it's a little slider track thing. I generally don't use that. That doesn't work for me so well because I have to cut paper fast and in large quantities. So I do have a guillotine cutter that is a Fiskars guillotine cutter. So I'm not promoting any other brand. I'm just showing you how I use my stuff. Definitely when you're not doing a lot and there's a cost difference too. The Stampin' Up! Trimmer is at a lot lower price point and it's a lot smaller of a cutter than the Fiskars guillotine and it's bigger. And I need to go boop, 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 cut. And so, I'm showing you the cutter that I use, and don't ask me where to get it. You guys know where the internet is located, and you could always search it out yourself. But because I really try to promote Stampin' Up! As much as possible, but there are a few things that I use that are not Stampin' Up!, and this Fiskars cutter is indeed one of them, especially also my industrial strength paper cutter that I use upstairs that can cut up to 1.5 inches at a time is not Stampin' Up! Either. So sometimes a girl's gonna do what a girl's gonna do. So just some disclaimers. All right, so what do we have here? We have some basic white paper. And I wanna talk about cutting white paper down. So this is the designer paper I'm gonna work with, and let's bring that card. So that's one of my cards that's coming up next month. Yeah, it is. It's for the June monthly class. So I don't know if this whole thing is gonna fit in the window, but it should. So this is a guillotine cutter. It cuts up to 13 inches and it goes like that. So I work with this. Now the Stampin' Up! One, just to show you guys, I do use these. You've seen me use this little baby a lot, which is perfect. I love this little guillotine cutter. If Stampin' Up! Came up with a cutter like this, I don't care what it would cost. I would buy it just to have a Stampin' Up! Cutter like this. But this is my little baby guillotine. And this is the other Stampin' Up! One. And this arm comes out and it goes up to 17 inches. So this one's in the catalog. This was a free gift for signing up to be a demonstrator, and then we could purchase them later. So when you have a mat here for your card, so a card base is either 11 by 4 1/4 or 5.5 by 8.5. Regardless, you want to put a mat on the inside. I generally use mats a lot on the outside. the first mat that you would cut down, since it's 5.5, you take a 1/4 inch off, and it's 4 1/4, you take a 1/4 inch off. So I would cut this at 5 1/4, which will give me the mat on that side. And then I'm gonna cut it at 4. So that takes off a 1/4 inch on 2 sides. And now we have the exact size mat that we need here. Now, if I'm cutting paper, I am not gonna leave this stuff sitting like this. That's nonsense to me. Like, I might as well cut this up. So no, you would cut this other one at 4. And I'd cut this one back down as well to, let's get here, 5 1/4. And then one of the things I like to do is I work smarter, not harder. So instead of cutting here and then moving my paper again, I'll go to the 8-inch mark, cut off that 1/2 inch. Now I just move my paper over and I've got 4 mats out of 1 piece of paper. I have had people come to me and say, I cut my paper at 4 here and I only get 2 mats out of an 8.5 by 11. Well, yeah, you'll get 2 mats because if you cut it like this, you've just wasted, well, you didn't waste it. I'm sure you can use it for something else, but you've just now eliminated the possibility of cutting another mat out of this section here, which is basically the equivalent of 2 more pieces just in a different format. So now you have just these 3 little baby scraps, which are perfect if you want to stamp a sentiment, and then you could like banner your end with the sentiment like this. So like that, you could put that on the front of a card. So I go through tons of these that I don't save all of them, but that would be something you could save to use for a little sentiment on the front of your card. Okay, so now we've just cut 4 mats. Now, if you're going to be cutting the next size down, which is 5 by 3 3/4, so every time you make a mat, you just take a 1/4 inch off of 2 sides. So I'm not going to cut it, but what I would do is I would go down to 5, which is a 1/4 inch off, and then 3 3/4, which is a 1/4 inch off. Now, if you want to go 1 more mat, you're at 4 3/4 and 3 1/2. Okay, so you just keep taking a 1/4 inch off, and that'll keep giving you a nice little border around. Now, you guys know, if you've been watching me, I do like to work in 1/16 of an inch. I don't expect others to do that as well until you get comfortable working with 1/16 of an inch. But instead of taking a 1/4 inch off of a side, I sometimes do a 3/16 off. So instead of going down to 5, I would go down to 5 1/16. And then I would, instead of going to 3 3/4, I'd go to 3 13/16. So just a side note on, I do that because then the border that you get is a little bit smaller. It's not as much of, like taking off 1/8 of an inch off of each side is hogwash. Like it makes it so little of a border. Like I have a hard time. I've had people in class tell me it's too hard to glue a mat on when you only have this small little border. So that's why I started doing the 3/16, because it just gives you a little bit of that peaking color coming from behind. Okay, so that's the 1/4 sheet mat. All right, now when you get down to something that you need that is 5 by 3 1/2, so this label on the front here, or this scallop border, is basically 3 1/4 by a little over 4 3/8. So yeah, you could cut here at 4 3/4 and 4 3/4, but now you're gonna end up with a lot of waste. So paper is 8 1/2. So if you take 8 1/2, and I said that I needed basically, let's say 5 by 3 1/2 for cutting out this bottom white piece, I'm gonna change my paper up a little bit. I'm gonna cut it at 5. Don't worry, 5 by 3 1/2, which gives me 1, 2, 3, and a little baby here on the end that you could use for a sentiment. Now, what's left with this piece, you ask? Well, you can't get 5 out of here, but wait, you can get 3 1/2, right? That's the other measurement we were working with. So 5 plus 3 1/2 is 8 1/2. Now, what I would do is I would cut this. Now, you have choices. I'm going to be cutting this for a mat, or this scalloped border. So I'm just, half of 11 is 5 1/2. So for me, for what I'm doing, I'm gonna be cutting these down into mats for this card, I'm okay having that little bit of extra overhang because it's gonna end up in the garbage in my eyes anyways. Now, if you're frugal and you wanna save that, you could, in essence, and if you're using this for a mat that is 3.5 by 5, you are gonna want to cut that off so that, now this is the mat. So look at this, guys. I've just, 1, 2, and I don't remember where the other one was, but they're, oh, the other, that was it. I think it was really like 5 mats out of 1 sheet of paper for basically cutting this with very minimal waste at the end. Got it? So be cognizant that when your measurements are 5 by 3.5 or anything that adds up to 8.5, you want to look at cutting your paper different to maximize what you can get out of it. Okay, so that's a little bit about cutting mats to maximize getting that the best bang for your buck. Now, when I design cards, I like to design in like strips of designer paper, 3x4s, 2x2s. 4 is a good number too, but like in this case, we have a 1.5 by 5.25. So 5.25 is generally the distance for the mat going this way. So 5.25. So let's grab this piece of paper. If I did, oh yeah, I did. So this is from the hand pen. Now you also have to pay attention to the orientation of your paper. So these flowers are going up and down. So if you cut your paper the wrong way on your card, your flowers are going to be going the wrong way. So I have on this, it's going this way, and my card is like this. So I need 5.25 here. So I'm going to cut it at 5.25. Now the other trick I like to do, and I know some people are not so excited about this when I do this, but my bottom mat I cut at a different time than I cut this paper. And I always want you guys to have enough of the designer paper so that you don't see this like green layer below. So I will always cut my designer paper, if I can, a hair over. So instead of being at 5.25 here, I will actually cut it just a little hair over so that when the person gets this paper, then they are not risking it being too short and having a little green overhang here. That just doesn't look as good to me. So I will cut that, and then you can always take your scissors and trim that off. So now we have 5.25 by, what was it? 1.5. Let's see where my ruler went. I think I said 1.5. No, this is perfect because at 1.5, you get 8. I think 8, 2, 4, 6, you get 8 out of here, and you don't waste anything on the end. And what I do is I like to work backwards. So I'll do 1.5 and then bring me down to 9, and then 7.5, and then down to 6, and then 4.5, bring me down to 3, and then at 1.5, like this. So now look at that, no waste at the end. I have all my pieces of paper, and I even cut it, and when you cut it, you could also flip it over and do that on the other side. But so I've just gotten 8 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm gonna keep going on here, and we're gonna do another one. Remember, I do 5.25, and then I go just a hairball over, and then like this. Now, this is what's left. Now, you could use this for something, but I would not use this on here. It would be questionable. Most of it gets covered up, so whoever gets it may never know that the flowers are going that way. You know, people don't always catch that. I wouldn't go like this to cut 1.5, pick my paper up, do 1.5, like, I would not, I started working smarter, not harder. So like this, and then picking this up and going like this was not a good use of my time. So I've learned to work backwards. So I'm counting down 1.5 inches. So 6 minus 1.5 is 4.5, minus 1.5 is 3, minus 1.5, boom. So now we've got 16 mats, or 16 designer papers just for this card. Now, it's up to you. If you look at this, get this, you have 1.5 left, and you could get, in essence, 2 more out of here. What you might do is just look at it and say, oh, well, whoever gets this isn't gonna notice. But for me, for in a class, I would say I wouldn't use this because I really want your flowers, when you see this, they're going up. Flowers grow up. Okay, so that's a 5.25 by 1.5 mat. Now let's talk about, I think here, this is one of my favorites, is a 3x4 mat on a 12x12 paper. So this is one of the cards for Beauty of the Earth, and this back mat here is 3x4. Now, again, you have to pay attention to the orientation of your paper. You don't want to cut it so that your pattern's going that way and you want it to go this way. Now, you don't generally see much of this background here, but I still know I want my trees to be going up and down. So you've got a couple ways you could do this. You could cut 3, 3, 3 first and then your 4s, or you could do the 4s first. 4 is the height. So I'm at 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. So I'm going to go down to 8, and then minus 4 is 4. And so now we've just cut 3 strips, and now we need our 3 inches. 12 minus 3 is 9, minus 3 is 6, minus 3 is 3. All right, and then we can do that again. So 9, 6, 3, and then 9, 6, 3. Look at this, guys. 3 times 4 is 12. So in this case, no waste whatsoever at the end, no little strip hanging over there. We've got 12 mats that are perfect for this card right here. 3x4 is a great use of designer series paper, especially when it's 12x12. Okay, so that's that card. Then we have here a good egg. This is for the chicken class that's coming up. I have to see what this is. I did it at, it must be, so 4x3 is a good number, but if you're slightly under 4 or slightly under 3, it's still okay. You'll still get 12 mats. But I have this one because my white mat here is 4. My designer paper is 3 13/16, and then I've got this at 2.5. Now my wood planking is going up and down. That's how I wanted it versus left and right, or horizontal. So I want to cut this so that my planking is going this way at 3 13/16. So I'm still gonna get, when I do 13/16, I don't work backwards. I can't do that in my head. I don't know what 12 minus 3 13/16 is. Math is hard like that. So I'm going to go at 3 13/16 here and here. So let's just make sure that's right. Yes, okay. So I always double check. You guys, measure twice, cut once, right? So I'm double checking. So I'm still gonna get 3 out of here, 3 columns. So 3 13/16, 3 columns here, right here. I still have, now I'm gonna have this as leftover, find a purpose for it, recycle it, however you wanna do it. Now, 2.5 is good. So I can do 2.5 easily backwards. 12 minus 2.5 is 9.5, and then half plus 2 is 7, minus 2.5 is 4.5, and then down to 2. Now, here's the deal. I'm left with 2 inches. Now, this is still a nice piece, but for class, I wouldn't give somebody a shorter piece like this because it's not what the card shows. I'll save this piece and find a purpose for it somewhere else. This one's still good. So, but then let's do here our other. So we have down to plus 2, 2. So I do 2.5 down here, and then 4.5, so down to 2. So we have this 2 inch left again. Now, you could design the card so that it comes out exactly even. That was not exactly what I wanted for this card, but 2 plus 4 here. Now, for this, even though I've got that 2 inches left, let's see how many mats I got out of here. It's still gonna be quite a few. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I still got 12 out of 1 piece of paper. So when I do a class, I know if I have 36, I need to have 3 sheets like this. Or if you're designing swap cards and there's 12 swap cards, you know that with 1 sheet of paper, you could get your 12 designer paper mats. Okay, you're left with 3 extra pieces here. Be creative with them. And so that's a good way to do, doing a half of a front of a card. Okay, this guy right here is another one for Beauty of the Earth. For class purposes, I don't generally use kind of a full mat for class because you don't get as many mats. You get really only 6 out of it. But for this card, I thought it really showcased the paper and I didn't care. I'm like, well, we're gonna go with it. I just did the well-suited and I really went through the paper there. Let's do it for this one. So I'm going to talk to you about this strip down here and this blue right here. So my white is my 4 by 5 1/4, and then this is where I came down my 3/16. So I'm at 3 13/16 by 5 1/16. So this paper really doesn't have an orientation to me. I mean, I wouldn't do it like that because I feel like the clouds go like this. So I'm going to cut my lengthwise or my height first. And so I know that if my other mat is 5 1/4, I'm going to come down 3/16. So I am at 5 1/16. Now this doesn't matter about your hair over or hair under because it's a mat. So I'm going to do 5 1/16 this way. And then I'm going to do a second one here. I know I'm only going to get 6 out of here. So if you do a 5 1/4 by 4, you're only going to get 6. So you have this left over to do something with. And let's see here. My lighting is so, oh, it's the arm that's making that. Okay, got it. So now we need 3 3/16. Now again, I'm not going to work backwards in this case because I don't do the backwards so good. But one thing I always do is I kind of come over here and be like, oh yeah, that looks good, good. And then 3 13/16. 3 13/16. All right, so that's 3 mats. Now we come over here. 3 3. So you guys might not ever make cards in mass quantities, but just know, even if you're doing 4 cards, thinking about how to best utilize your paper so you don't waste it and end up with weird scraps is good. So you have these 2 left over and you have this one left over. And in this case, I got 6 out of here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this one's gonna be a little different. In this case, my banner is, it says it's 4, and this is 1 1/4 high. So how I would do that one, so my banner here is right at 4, and then we'll banner in and it'll be good. So we're gonna do 4. So this is the piece of paper here. And I'm pretty sure it is. Let's see if there's trees on the backside. Yep, there's trees on the backside. Okay, so I'm gonna do my, let's see how I want. There's no real pattern to this to me. So I know I need 4. So I'm gonna do 8, and then I'm gonna bring it down to 4. So now I've got my width, the W's and the T's and the H's and the V's. Oh my gosh, so hard. But now I needed 1 1/4. I can do 1 1/4 easily backwards like this. Now, if you have your own little personal trimmer at home, you could just do 1 1/4. But for me, I go 1 1/4, 1 1/4, 1 1/4. Oh, there. So what did you do right here? And then here. And then when I get here, I go at 1 1/4. Make sure you're straight. And we got, so you have this little bit extra. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of there. And we're going to get 9 times 3 is 18. So 8, whoa, I just threw it on the floor. We're going to get 18 of those. And I don't want to roll over it, so hang on. So we're going to get 18 of that size out of here. So I hope that that helps you guys a little bit understanding how to cut paper. This is another good one right here, this card from last night. It was last night because I'm videoing this, you guys. I am still home and you're seeing this while I'm in Hawaii. I did videotape these early. So this, as of today, this was last night. I did a 4 by 4 here. So it's 4 inches by 4 inches. So basically you get 4 by 4, so 3 columns, and 3 rows gives you 9 on this one. Perfect. You don't have any waste at the end. A 4 by 4 is a great use of designer paper as well. So you may want to watch the replay of this Tip Tuesday to really take in the measurements and how to cut paper. And I know I went through it a little bit fast because that's just, I guess that's how I am. So that's why it's fabulous that there are replays. And so you guys, it might be good to just, if you have questions, watch the replay again and take notes while you're watching this video. I should have said this in the beginning. Taking notes on this with measurements is really good. Just remember that 1/4 inch off on 2 sides really makes for your nice mat, and you just keep working your way down. And you start at usually 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, which is the size of an A2 card. And then your mats will just go 1/4 less on each side till you get the size that you want with your smallest mat. So designer paper too comes in 6 by 6. That's a little bit harder to work with. Getting a 5¼ by, no, yeah, 5¼ by 4" mat, you only get one out of that 6x6 piece of paper. I will never design 6x6 paper with one mat like that. Now, when you're at home and you are wanting to make the most fabulous card and you want to use that piece of paper, use it. Absolutely. Take that one mat. That's all you're going to get out of there. But when I design with 6x6 paper, I generally do 3x3 because then you get 4 out of there. Sometimes I'll do 3x4, and 2x4 is a good number because if you do 2, 2, and 2x4, that still gives you a strip across the top that you could get 2x4 as long as the paper orientation is universal. So you'd still get 4 out of there. So 6x6 is a little trickier. So I always like to have the 12x12 because it gives you more wiggle room to play with your mats. So, okay, I hope that you guys got something out of this Tip Tuesday with paper cutting. I do a lot of paper cutting in my day, guys, and I do a lot of it for prepping for every class. I cut all the paper. So if you ever get anything that's crooked or has a little fray on it, or weirdness, that's on me. I have so I don't have anybody that I trust cutting paper except for myself. And so I don't know if that's bad or good. Someday maybe I could teach somebody to cut paper for me and then I could go off to Hawaii more often, but that won't be happening anytime soon. So, oh yeah. So, yeah, paper is crazy and you just want to make sure you don't use it in a non-efficient or good manner so that you can get the most bang for your buck with it. So, all right, guys, we'll see you later. Lots of sunshine and love and hugs to you. Bye.